I don't know how they fix it, though. The easy answer is, just get healthy. Lamar will come back and they'll be fine. It's more than Lamar. It's certainly Roquan Smith on the defense as well. The defense has been the issue. I have no doubt that when Lamar gets back, the offense will get back to form. Maybe they're not going to score 30 a game, but they'll start looking like themselves again. But Lamar's not going to fix the defense. They get the Bears after the break. You'd expect John Harbaugh to be able to turn things around, but it's an interesting watch right now in Baltimore.
Yeah, and even when John Harbaugh, the quote where he was talking about Lamar coming back, and just the way he worded the quote was so weird to me, where, he's basically, I'm like, is he saying to Lamar, man, you better be back? It kind of just felt like there's a sense of desperation there that I think is starting to become. Do you want me to read it to you? Is it the one
about the psychiatrist?
Yes, okay, that one. Yeah, can you read that?
Here's the quote.
This is so weird.
If I was on the couch with a psychiatrist right now, if I was spilling it, I would have to say I'm leaning really hard into that, really hard. Meaning that Lamar can come back and fix things. For any kind of psychological well-being, spiritual well-being, I'm leaning hard on that happening. So I'm very hopeful that that happens. In other words, he's trying to convince his team that the quarterback coming back will fix things.
Yeah,
but is that the right message? Because I would be telling them, hey, the Savior's not walking through the door, not trying to make it religious, but one man coming back isn't going to fix things.
Right. Yeah. No, it's you do the Dan Campbell thing, right? You're like, hey, it's all of us. We're all going to fix this together. We're all a group of fighters, right? It's not, hey, we're lit, we're missing Maximus right now, and he's going to walk through that door, and next thing you know, our army is going to, march over the opponent. It was broken before Lamar
will have his revenge in this life or the next. Right. That guy.
That's okay, right. Yes, that's right. I sit here and I'm like, this was broken before Lamar went out, right? And so it wasn't like Lamar was the part that wasn't working. That wasn't the issue. It's a defense that, again, you can talk about injuries all you want. You got to come up with a way to cover for it, right? You have to come up with a way to limit opponents to less than 35 points, less than 32 points, less than 30 points. If Lamar comes in and plays great and they're scoring 30 points, okay, well, you could still be the 2024 Bengals and losing games 42-30. And so that's my question about, John really saying what he said. And John's not, it was interesting because John's not that guy. He's good in press conferences, and I just don't often sense this even as a joke and tongue-in-cheek desperation, it still kind of comes off that way. And by the way, not for nothing, but hamstrings are not exactly cooperative. So you can have someone come back from a hamstring. Let's ask Mike Evans about that. And a week or two later, it's a soft tissue injury and it rears again. Right? Especially if it's someone who uses their hamstrings. And I tend to believe Lamar falls in the category of an NFL player who uses his hamstrings a considerable amount. So that alone makes me worried. And I will say the trade deadline is coming in November. Teams are looking at Baltimore and saying, are they going to sell? Is there someone there? Do they really want to keep Derrick Henry through the run, through the end of the season? And I actually talked to someone who said, I'm watching film of Derrick Henry to try and figure out, is this a Baltimore problem or are we seeing a drop off here? And the only reason he would be looking at film of Derrick Henry is to say, we might make a call and see if we could possibly plug a hole with this running back. And that's all bad.
Charles, let's unpack that
for the Ravens.
Charles, let's unpack that. Do you think the Ravens, if they continue to lose, would trade Derrick Henry?
I think that there has to be an assessment of what the window is, right? Because Mark Andrews is not going to be there next year. So Mark Andrews is someone that I think becomes a trade piece. I think you have to ask, what is the asset we could get out of Derrick Henry? Okay. Now again, this depends on the record. If they're in a hole, if you're sitting there and we're now saying, okay, well, this is a 6-loss team. right? And they're heading into the first week of November. Okay, well then at that point, I have to consider if we can get the right asset for a Derrick Henry, who would, any team I think at this point would have to consider him a rental, and there would have to be a talk about, who would eat what salary in the trade. If you offered me a second round pick for Derrick Henry, I think if you're the Ravens, you take it. You have to take it because there's just I think there's an end of the road for what they were committing to when they paired Derrick Henry with Lamar Jackson. And I truly believe that compact period of time was 2024 and 2025 because they knew they were going to have to make some other decisions with other players on the roster like a Mark Andrews.
Yeah, listen, I agree with you. If they continue to lose and somebody offers them a 2, absolutely. I would drive him to the airport and thank him for everything he's done for the Baltimore Ravens. That said, I find it hard to believe, this is just me, that any team would give up a second-round pick for any player whose age begins with a 3. Now, other than obviously a quarterback who you think is a high-value quarterback with still years ahead of him, that would be a bit different. Would the Chargers do it? I mean, obviously Joe Ortiz is there in LA. There are plenty of connections, like the coaches are brothers, for Pete's sake. Would they do it? I don't know. If you're the Chargers, do you say, with both my tackles out, is Derrick Henry going to even matter? I'm going to roll with Kamani Vidal and with Hassan Haskins. That, to me, would be fascinating. You know what's also interesting? Honestly, this Thursday night game, because as I just said to Kyle there, they're 1-0. The Ravens are 1-0 in the division. They beat the Browns week 2. They still have 5 division games left. 2 of those, obviously, against the Steelers. 2 of those against the Bengals. If the Bengals beat the Steelers on Thursday night in Cincinnati, bear with me here. So the Steelers at that point are 4-2. The Bengals get another win. And while I don't think the Bengals are going to catch the Steelers, it gives the Ravens at least the possibility of coming back from the bye, beating the Bears, getting to 2 wins, and being in it in a mediocre division, and that's putting it nicely, with still 2 games, Charles, left against the Steelers.
Yeah, it's a long season, and you can't convince me that 10 wins maybe wins the AFC North. Like, it may win the AFC North. And 10 is, look, you got to go on a run if you're the Ravens, but it's tangible. I can tell you this, if the Bengals beat the Steelers, we're going to hear Mike Tomlin talking about Andrew Berry again pretty quickly. Like, there's a lot of chaos, left ahead here, but the AFC North feels to me, even when I watch the Steelers, I'm like, hey, there's momentum here. You can feel a sense of lightness coming out of the organization that has not been there in the last couple of years, last several years, right? And I think it's because they have a quarterback who's playing at a high level. He's happy. Mike Tomlin's happy. I think that they're not dealing with some of the defensive questions that they were last season. Now, granted, it's early, relatively healthy, I think, at this stage, and also a team that I think would be willing to add a piece, at the deadline. They've pushed so many chips already into the Aaron Rodgers window, which I really think could be 2026 as well. I would not be surprised if they also go, hey, we only have a small period of time here. Let's go ahead and make sure we max it in 2025 and maybe 2026 and see what asset is out there who could help us, do that. But yeah, the Bengals could create chaos here. And I will say to you, Andrew, I think Mike Tomlin knew that when he saw the Flacco trade go down, because he's sitting there staring at a schedule and going, the Bengals they are absolutely a flaming garbage dump at quarterback right now. Those are 2 winnable games on our schedule. Now you put a quarterback in there who is capable and especially matches up to the skill set of those players. And I think in Mike's mind, he goes, man, we were in really good shape. Now this is a little more difficult.
What the Steelers are doing, and just watching the L22 again this morning, they're playing with 7 linemen on every snap. At least they're opening every drive. With Anderson coming out, 74 tackle eligible, so 6 offensive linemen. And then Darnell Washington is 300 pounds.
He's an offensive.
He's listed
he's offensive tackle. Come on,
he's listed as 264, but he wears
That's
80
a joke
on his jersey.
Come on,
and he is a legit 300 pounds. And give Arthur Smith credit. First play from scrimmage, heavy run look. And he sneaks to the line, linebackers bite, 50 yards down the sideline. Now he fumbled at the end. Tyson Campbell tracked him down, but the ball went out of bounds. They are playing with 7 O-linemen on almost every first down, and certainly every snap where they know they're going to run the ball. And it's working. To their credit, the Steelers are finding ways to win. But